Milford, and thank you everyone from the New Jersey NAMI for attending this call and assisting us in spreading the mental health awareness, especially across different ethnic groups and how we are impacted uh, internally and culturally when it comes to mental health. So looking forward to listening to you and your presentations on that. So a little bit about Alliance and who we are and where we come from. And we are a 102-year-old organization. We are 1.4 million members around the world and with 50,000 clubs and over 200 countries that we serve. And our motto and our mission is very simple words: we serve. So when we see an opportunity to step out, we will step out, or a line will step out, and will assist any which way possible, or get resources that we can get to help that particular individuals or a particular cause. Right. So our main causes are, from a global point of view, diabetes, childhood cancer, hunger, vision, youth development, and environment. And environment covers practically everything in terms of disasters, unfortunately, that happens around the world: hurricanes and tornadoes, earthquakes, fire. We Alliance is the very first organization in the local areas that will step up and assist in any which way we can. And then we have another branch of Alliance, which is a foundation branch. And with that, we have donated over 50 years, $1.8 billion for across the world for all these different causes that have happened. So it's a great organization, and we are very proud to be part of that. Now, coming back to our own club and who we are 5 years old. We chartered. I'm the charter president of the club and had the opportunity to work with 20 more members to start a new club in Franklin Township. We have Rupain. I didn't see Brain yet. Rupain, as I introduced before, he's our club president, and he also comes with extreme amount of experience working with medical officers and medical professionals, hunger, vision. So we are delighted to have him as our president, and we're looking forward to working with him as well. So that being said, any questions on this, or Maggie, I can forward that back to you, and you can continue with the webinar.
Well, thank you so much, Rohit, for the kind introduction, and your mission. We serve really is aligned with us at NAMI. So good morning, everyone. I am Maggie Luo, Associate Director of Outreach and Communications at NAMI, New Jersey. It's my honor to be here today with my colleagues to share about this worthy topic, that how culture impacts our mental health and shapes the journey of recovery. So actually, before we start, we actually have a poll. Not sure. We can launch it right now. So as to get to know you a little bit. Do you know someone who currently struggles with a mental health condition? And we see yes, that's from Mildred, I think, because there is no health without mental health. And we are excited to partner with Lions Club to elevate this important dialogue through a cultural lens this morning. We will have a wonderful panel today that we will introduce a little later. We would like to start with answering the question, what is mental illness? So if Stephanie can go to next slide. Yes, thank you. We are here to educate, and if you can share this with your loved ones or those who you know who are currently struggling, you can save lives. Mental illness is a medical condition that can impact a person's thinking, behavior, mood, and may affect their relationships and daily functions. Every person's experience is different, but we believe that recovery is possible. Every individual with a mental illness can live a healthy life. A mental health condition isn't the result of one event. It can be a result of genetics, environment factors, biochemical processes and wiring, a brain injury, or any other type of trauma. These causes often overlap. It is important to note that mental illness does not discriminate. It can happen to anyone. I would now want our producer to show a short clip about the warning signs of mental health conditions.
Mental health conditions are more common than you may think. 1 in 5 youth or young adults lives with a mental health condition. Do you know the warning signs? Like feeling sad or withdrawn for more than 2 weeks. severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships, intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities, sudden overwhelming fear for no reason, or seriously trying to harm or kill oneself, or making plans to do so. Not eating, throwing up, or using laxatives to lose weight. Significant weight loss or weight gain. Severe, out-of-control risk-taking behavior that can cause harm to self or others. Repeated use of drugs or alcohol. Drastic changes in behavior, personality, or sleeping habits. Or extreme difficulty concentrating or staying still. If you see these signs in yourself or a friend, tell a trusted adult. The first step to getting help is to say it out loud.
Thank you. So as we saw from the video, there are a lot of different warning signs for mental illness. But again, these are only warning signs. It doesn't mean that a person has to have a diagnosis based on a warning sign. These are just signs that maybe some help is needed. Next slide, please. So here are some, actually, next slide for the numbers. Yes, thank you. Here are some fast facts so that we know how prevalent mental illness is and how we can work to change some of those numbers later on in our webinar. Our tagline is always, "You are not alone." So hopefully these numbers would really send that message to you or your friends or family members who may struggle right now. Next slide, please. So the next two slides actually shows how those numbers show up in the state of New Jersey. With over 9 million people here in New Jersey, we have over 1 million adult residents living with a mental health condition in their lifetime. That is more than 3 times the population of Newark. And next slide, please. On the other hand, here we also see that New Jerseyans struggle to get help that they need because of barriers like stigma, high cost of care, lack of health insurance, not enough mental health providers in their community, especially in rural areas, and generally an inadequate mental health system. Right now, I actually would like to cast another post. So the post says, what is the average delay between the onset of mental illness symptoms and treatment? Do you know how many years it takes on average for an individual to start seeking help for their mental health conditions? So if you want to take a guess, yes, the hint is that it takes years. Okay, now here, some of you chose 3 years. So the answer is 11 years. And we know that this is shocking, but it is really the crux of the issue right now. That why we want to have this webinar is that this is one way to break down stigma, and we wanted to see how we can help in the areas that we can make changes. So now I wanted to show some resources in the next slide. So many people ask us, okay, so now we want to seek help. Where is help? So we post some resources here. Some of these are hotlines, really means that they're available 24/7. You can call them. 988 is 3 digits that you need to remember because this is the new number nationally to help people wherever they are in the state when they're experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis. You can also contact your county's designated screening center. I actually post a link that NAMI New Jersey has compiled for all the county's screening centers. Also, the second floor youth helpline is for youth between 10 and 24, I believe, and they can call or text 24/7. When people want to search for treatment providers, they don't call NAMI, but they can go on to these websites to look for treatment. Findtreatment.gov, findhelp.org is actually newer, but they're strengthening their database. Psychologytoday.com is a private website, privately run, but it is a platform where many mental health providers chose to put their information on there. So you can just do a search by insurance or distance or gender or any other preference. By the way, findtreatment.gov is by SAMHSA from the US government. Also some warm lines. In New Jersey, there are 2 that you can call. And I put them before NAMI's lines because of their availability is more. So I listed their availability here as well. NAMI New Jersey is here for you as well. We operate Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, but you can send an email to info@namienja.org if you have a question. And NAMI Helpline is our national platform helpline. So we are open 10 to 10 Eastern time from Monday to Friday. So you can take a screenshot, and this is a resource that we hope to update as we go along. Next slide, please. Yes, so very quickly before I bring on the panel, how NAMI help. So you see this ring of bubbles. This is really a recovery-oriented system of care defined by SAMHSA. And you can see that a person in recovery will need all these bubbles to work together for recovery. And the green bubbles are the bubbles that we can refer you to, and the yellow bubbles are what we offer, the support, advocacy, and education programs. So you can go onto our website or call us for more information. Now, next slide. Yes, so here comes our focus today is our multicultural panel sharing. And next slide, we are going to see our panelists. So we welcome, if you can show your video. So Dr. Maria del Carmen Rodriguez, speaking from Hispanic Latina community. Then Melanie Walker, our Act Now statewide coordinator. And Ben Hu from our Chinese outreach program Cam Hub, and he's up here. And Suba Balsetti, she is our Samhaj South Asian Mental Health Awareness in Jersey statewide coordinator. And I'm the moderator today. And supporting on chat, we also have Nelly Barrero, our Namienja on Espanol statewide coordinator, Hulue, Cam Hub statewide coordinator, as well as our marketing and communication manager as our producer and support, Stephanie Har. So without further ado, I would like to bring on the first panelist, Dr. Rodriguez. And we are going to have all our 4 panelists to share from their experience and their perspective 2 questions. One is that how does culture, specifically related to your race and ethnicity, impact our mental health? And the second question is what strength of culture can we leverage in our mental health journey? So let's welcome our first panelist, Dr. Maria.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you for the invitation to join you at this activity that I consider to be essential for the health of our people in New Jersey. Before I say anything, I'd like to pay tribute to the tribe of New Jersey that were the first settlers of this state. They are the Nantoqui Lenape, the Powhatan Lenape, and the Ramapo Lenape nations, because without them, we will not have New Jersey. I am the daughter, and I would say more than that. I'm the proud daughter of a mother who struggled for a significant number of years with mental illness. My mother came from a background that contributed to this mental illness because there was a history of mental illness in the women that preceded her, especially her grandmother and mother. In addition to that legacy that I call the genetic burden, my mother suffered the loss of her mom when she was only 2 years old. And I was able to hear her express her grief for this incredible trauma that she had to endure, because that meant not only that she lost a mom, a very good mom, but also had to basically fend off for herself most of her life. And then the third, I would say, incredible burden that she had to deal with was the sexism that exists in our culture as Latinos. So when she started developing the symptoms of mental illness, I was about maybe 11. And it was one of the scariest phenomena to watch, because she went from being a complete, organized, competent, happy person to the opposite. Unable to concentrate, not able to sleep, very anxious, and very profoundly sad. And it took a significant amount of time for the providers to figure out what illness she had. So they were giving her medications that were not really helping her, until finally they came up to the agreement that she had bipolar illness. I asked one of my sisters to help me remind myself how many years it took for her to get the help she needed from the moment that she started having the symptoms. So my sister clarified for me that it took about 3 years for her to really get the help. And then the other piece that I'd like to share with you about that process of getting the help she needed is that it was not really her who said, "I'm ready." It was the entire family system taking the lead and bringing her to medical treatment. So there was no direct agreement by her that she needed these. It was the family, especially my father and the oldest siblings, including me, to basically take the bull by the horn. Another thing that I'd like to share with you about Latinos in general. The first thing I want you to remember is that Latinos is a term that is deceiving, because each one of the cultures that are here that come from the Latin American experience are very different from each other. And the fact that we all speak Spanish should not fool you, because the values that each one of these cultures have about mental illness, mental health, and recovery vary from culture to culture within the Latino umbrella. Just to give an example, the Latinos that live in the Caribbean region, and I come from that region, Spanish-speaking Caribbean, we are influenced by a very rich legacy of the African ways of conceiving healing and recovery. Therefore, a lot of Latinos are not going to admit these two therapies, but they may have a second religion that's not an official religion, but it is very powerful, and it's called Santeria, which comes from the African heritage, and Spiritismo also, that come from European roots. So those two religions that are underground religions are very powerful among Latinos, especially from the Spanish Caribbean region. And those are the healers that Latinos will go to first. And my mother did that, because I remember there was a lady in our neighborhood that was a healer, a natural healer. She was a santera, and she would come to my house on a regular basis when my mother was having a very difficult day. And she trusted her. It looked like she was able to calm her a little bit, and she had the idea that that was the way to go. Eventually, as the years progressed and the mental illness became unmanageable, that's when I told my father, we have tried all the natural healers, and it's obvious that this is not working well for my mom. And eventually she had to go for the first time, to a psychiatric hospitalization. So my recommendation to all of you in the call, and not only the panelists, but also the providers and the participants, is that when you work with Latino clients, you need to ask immediately from the go, what are all the healing systems that they believe in? Because if you don't do that, you're basically throwing darts like really not working with the whole system that is impacting that individual. So you want to have a wide perspective of what is it that they consider healing, who are the key players in that healing process that they are undergoing. And the more you do that, the more you're going to gain their trust and their compliance for the traditional European Western approaches to mental health and mental illness. And I'm convinced that not only this is going to help Latinos, but when I have studied that the alternative healing system of Latinos, this is my area of expertise in research. And I have found that when Latinos deal with these very broad concepts of healing that come from the spirit and not only the brain, you have greater chances of the client of not only dealing with a mental illness, but becoming a more fully developed individual. So in conclusion, when working with Latinos and that are suffering from mental illness, their sense of healing is very broad, is holistic. They see the brain, they also see the spirit, they see their body, and they see their social connections as one. So that's why they rely so much in santeros, curanderos, and alternative healers, because those healers tend to see their concerns as holistic rather than just the brain acting out. So to create the bridge to them, you need to acknowledge these very multifaceted ways of looking at illness and respect it and create bridges so that they become a little calmer, more trusting, and compliant. Thank you very much.
Wow. Dr. Rodriguez, that was powerful. And I truly appreciate what you are sharing about, primarily also for providers, the value of listening to find out the healing approaches that their clients may believe in, the sense of healing, and the key players and influencers, so that they can gain trust and compliance from them. And also, to your point, the greater hope for full recovery. And we do believe in creating bridges. And for the individual with the lived experience, it is also a call to come to share with your provider, and so that you can also contribute to building trust as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Rodriguez. And I would like to invite next panelist, Melanie, who is our Act Now program coordinator. Melanie.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for joining us this morning. Great information already being said already. I can relate a lot to our Latino brothers and sisters. In the African American community, we're so diverse. So we have our African Americans from the Caribbean. We have African Americans that are descendants of slaves. And then we have African Americans that are more of our immigrant population, or maybe first generation from the motherland, as we like to call our African continents. So basically, this is just a snapshot of what has been experienced. First of all, in the African American community, mental health wasn't really talked about. It was always like, there's our relative, and we kind of keep them off to the side. Oh, they're just having a bad day. Oh, they have a bad case of nerves. Or, oh, they're just depressed for like one day or something. So it was kind of downplayed a lot in the beginning. And it was hard for us to articulate exactly what was going on with the history in America with, slavery, Jim Crow laws, and everything like that, and Tuskegee experiments that made us kind of distrustful of the healthcare system and mental health in general. So going from there to basically now, we have a different way of looking at things. We are more apt to do therapy now. It's more just as our physical health, we're thinking, okay, we need to get our mental health checked because we're starting to get the language for it and to be able to make more of a push to fight stigma. Before we used to kind of be on the sidelines, kind of be in the dark a lot of times. But now we're a lot more intentional on how we get our help. In general, our community is a community based. So we have our, community leaders. We have, the leaders in the community as well. We have our pastors. We have our friends. We have our neighbors that be able to spread the word to about like what's going on. So if someone has, something going on, we'll rely on our neighbors. We'll rely on our pastor to be able to get us that first information out to get help. So we're getting there, but we're not there yet. A lot of times we have to rely on our community to do a lot of things. A lot of times in the past, we used to say, okay, well, you're just having a bad day. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just become a lot more self-reliant on things. So we're kind of like on the end. So we're self-reliant and we want to do stuff on our own and we want to keep all of our stuff to ourselves. But then on the other side, we're very community based. So we're thinking, okay, well, we have this problem. We'll kind of not tell too many people, but also we look to the community to get that help. So it kind of creates a hard way to try to get the trust from our community. So basically, I know what helps a lot, as I mentioned before, is word of mouth. A lot of times in our community groups and our support groups, we have something where we're talking about something and we want to have a therapist that looks like us, that understands our culture. So we'll ask someone in the group, oh, what counselor did you go to? And that's how we get our information across. That goes back to our ancestors in Africa, where word of mouth was the way that we got the information out in the community. So that's very historical, and we still do that to this day. So a lot of times when you want to, help people in the African American community, you have to basically gain our trust first. You have to actually listen to what we're saying, to be able to, just allow us just to be able to think and go through the process and just understand, where we're coming from, just to be culturally competent in a lot of times, because we want to be heard. We like to sit down, we like to fellowship over things, to be able to like a meal or a game or something, to be able to just talk about what's going on. It's a very kind of conversational type of thing that we can just draw from that. It's very interesting too, because we have come so far from where we started, and now we have a lot of us that look like us that are our doctors and that are psychiatrists and our social workers, and we feel comfortable to do that. Not to say that we won't branch out into other races to be able to find our help, but we tend to gravitate towards our culture. A lot of times what helps too is just learning the key people in the neighborhood that you could go to. Like I keep going back to the church. It is a very strong part of our community is the church. So we're always like, okay, we'll go to the pastor first, and then they'll be able to tell us, oh, okay, a lot now with churches is that they're starting mental health ministries. So a lot of times we'll have, everybody on the staff that's psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers and stuff that is going through the church that'll help us. A lot of times now they're having community fairs, and they'll have, the people that are, dealing with, diabetes, heart disease. And then we'll start to have that mental health table. And then it's something that, something as simple as having stuff out on the table to say, okay, we have a brochure on that. Why don't you come over and talk? And a lot of times people will just come over. At first they're hesitant, but they'll come over and say, okay, I'll pick up that information. And then you'll get that call later in the week. I was at your table. So a lot of times just starting to meet person, when we say in social work where they're at, that's where we meet them at. We meet them in the community. We meet them a lot of times at their places. Like a lot of jobs now are bringing in tables. So that kind of helps, just spread the word a little bit more. I think when we talk about strengths in our community is, like I said before, we're very hardworking. We're very resilient. We've been through so much adversity, and we use that to strengthen us further. So when it comes to mental health, we realize that we struggle with things. And now, like I said before, we have the words to articulate what exactly is going on with us. And from there, we build on to, okay, now we know what's actually going on. It's not just we're sad. It's not just, we're having a bad case of nerves, as they say. It's okay, we might actually have a mental illness. Okay, where do we go to get that help? And that's how we, build on the strengths of that. And like I said, we're very community based. So we have to, when we reach out to us, we have to just make sure we know who are the key players in our neighborhood, in our churches, in our schools, to be able to help facilitate getting that help. Knowing who is culturally competent, people that are African American with the background to be able to help us. So that's where we can go. We have a strong sense of community, and that's where you can start to kind of help us out. Just an anecdote, we started a mental health ministry at our church, but we had to go through the process. We had to first go basically with the congregation. And then from there, we went up to, the deacons and then the trustees. And then we finally met to the pastor. And he was like, oh, that's a great idea. But we had to go through those steps to get to where we needed to have the ministry. Then we got invited to be able to do like a health fair and stuff. So it's basically a slow and steady process, but you can get there as long as you understand, where we're coming from, know the key players, and build upon their strengths. So that's basically, in a nutshell, helping out with the African American community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melanie. And your sharing just really came from your own serving as a provider and as a community leader here. So just now you highlighted the sting of stigma that is attached to mental illness. And I feel like this is the room to talk about it, and also the need for intentionality to get help, or to make it a more supportive environment in our community to for those in need to step out and voice their needs. I love what you say, that the word of mouth was the way to spread the word about most things, including health providers. And that is true, not in too many communities, but I appreciate you sharing the specifics in your community, and also the role of the church in spreading the word and being of resources for people for improved daily living and mental health. So thank you so much, Melanie. I want to also mention, you said that there are more providers from the Black community right now, and that is a very promising trend. We do see that. So if you go on to all those treatment finders, psychologytoday.com, for example, you can find you can search by cultural backgrounds. So that's very helpful. Thank you again. So now I would like to invite the third panelist, our CamHub peer, Ben Hu.
Yes, hi everyone. I am a peer, which means I'm someone who lives with mental illness, and I've been a long time a volunteer at CamHub. I just want to share my experiences and experiences of friends I made through their support groups, where we share our experiences with each other. I would say, just picking up on a point that Dr. Maria made earlier, and that is the Chinese culture can be very sexist. That just means, well, it means a lot of things, but it means that basically it favors men over women in terms of opportunities, advantages, and privileges. And sometimes that can be not an asset, when it comes to asking for help. Because just because much is given to men, much more is expected from men. as leaders, as providers. And for men, Chinese men, Chinese American men who find themselves, because of mental illness, unable to meet the expectations of their families, of their culture, there develops a lot of shame around that. And the shame actually has to be worked through before one is ready to ask for help. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect, of course, is the American culture as well, working in conjunction with Chinese culture. And the American culture has a history of emasculating the Chinese American males, and that had the effect of many American men of Chinese ancestry to overcompensate. You know, they're afraid of asking for help because they're afraid that it's a sign of weakness, or it may be interpreted by other people, you know, as a sign of weakness. You know, what will people say, kind of thing. And that's something also they have to work through in order to get the help they need. And as far as good things that culture give us to work with, to work on our mental health, I would say when someone is ready to ask for help, you know, oftentimes you see families rally around them. And you know, it's true that, you know, families may get there first before the patient, you know, in terms of recognizing that they have a mental illness. But it's like the sayings goes, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, you know. And until someone is ready to work on their recovery, you know, and comply with treatment, it really is you know, you really need their piece. You know, you need them to be ready to work on themselves. And I would also just say that that it's when they're ready to ask for help, that you know, no one heals alone, and the family really, as a family-centered culture, Chinese culture, can and does, you know, ready to accompany the patient on their journey to recovery. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Every time you spoke, we were inspired, and same today. Thank you so much. And you truly have highlighted shame as a sign of weakness, and also the view of being a man is a non-asset in terms of seeking help. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a very important viewpoint. And also the intersectionality between American and Chinese cultures would lead to challenges like overcompensating, like you mentioned. And I truly appreciate you mentioned the family support being a leverage, but also it's also a call for family members and friends to really seek to work together with the individual to build trust and to empower their loved ones to seek help themselves, and being patient with them when they're ready or not ready. And I want to say that Ben is actually the author of this famous line that recovery is a personal choice, but no one heals alone. So we truly appreciate you, Ben. So last, I would like to invite our last panelist, Suba Polisetti from our Samaj program.
Thank you, Maggie. I want to thank the Lions Club for bringing this panel together with NAMI, New Jersey. Mental health is a very, very taboo subject, especially in the South Asian communities. And I'm really grateful to be here with you all to share my thoughts and experiences. As Maggie introduced me, I'm Subha Balisetti, and I'm the statewide coordinator for NAMI New Jersey's multicultural program, SAMHAD, South Asian Mental Health Awareness in Jersey. And I'm also a family support group facilitator, state trainer, and also Ending the Silence presenter for families as well as students. And I'm also a parent advocate working with many other disability advocates to improve lives for everyone, lives of everyone. As a family, we host medical students from Rutgers as part of their seminar on family-centered care and developmental disabilities. So I'm coming in different directions. So that's what I want to express here. So, and also I'm here because of my son, who is an artist, loves music, and working on becoming a digital artist, cartoonist, and our encyclopedia of art. He was born with a complex congenital heart defect, and he's also on autism spectrum, has intellectual and developmental disabilities, and mental health challenges. And during our 23 years of journey, we saw how South Asian community looks at physical health conditions and mental health conditions, and also the stigma and taboo behind mental illness. So I am going to share some of my experiences here, and also some of the experiences from other family members and individuals from support groups. And one thing that we noticed is for some in South Asian culture, accepting and knowing that someone in the family has mental illness brings shame to the family. It's the similar thinking that Ben was mentioning when he was talking about. And also some look at it as a sign of weakness. And there is this general societal pressure to show how successful and strong one is, which actually acts as a counter to get help and raise hand that somebody needs support and help. And some in South Asian culture believe in bad karma from previous life, not even this life. I'm talking about previous life or lives. So that they are going through in this life. This thinking generally happens when someone is dealing with major health challenges or major challenges in general, but it happens more and more when someone is dealing with mental health challenges, health-related illnesses. And the other thing is, in South Asian culture and communities, most families, you cannot separate me from us, from family. It's a collective culture. So because of the stigma around mental illness and the beliefs associated with it, what happens is families tries to keep it as a secretive because of the fear of isolation. And some are even afraid that their other adult children may not get life partners. So these are all some of the beliefs, and mainly because of the stigma and taboo associated with it. If someone knows about my family member having mental illness, then maybe other one may not get a life partner. So those are certain things. And also, believe it or not, some people even think anxiety, depression, all these are contagious, even though we all know it is not. Because my personal experience, because my son has high anxiety, somebody didn't want to have a play date because they're worried their child might get it from my kid. So it's a long time ago, but these are the examples I'm using. So the other thing is, it's a biggest drawback, and which is kind of a social norm, is always thinking about what other people are going to think or feel. In Hindi, it's called Log Kya Kahenge. So instead of focusing on our well-being or loved ones' well-being, worrying about what others are thinking about our situation, or if somebody finds out about the mental illness in the family, how they are going to treat us, what they are going to think about us. This type of fear prevents some South Asian families not to get help or support that is much needed. And in some of the households, the thinking is it's our duty to care of others' needs first and put our needs last. Even though an individual is going through a crisis, you end up taking care of other people's needs and put ourselves in the back. So as we all know, mind and body connection. So what happens is when your mind is not healthy, the body also reflects. So health challenges starts coming up. So these are some of the challenges we see in our communities. But things are changing, positive side, which is great. And when Maggie was asking about what strength of culture have you leveraged in our mental health journey, one of the biggest thing is our chosen family. So in our case, like many immigrant families, we didn't have our blood family, brothers and sisters and parents close by. So we created our own chosen family. Our closest friends became our family and are part of our journey with our loved one. And are our support system and our strength, because we are going through such a roller coaster journey. We needed that support and strength. Otherwise, I can't even imagine where we will be. And the other thing is connections. As we all know, connections are very important and powerful. And within the South Asian community, because of the many languages, many cultures within the South Asian culture, we have tons of organizations, linguistic-based, state-based, country-based. Tons of organizations are there. And they run health screenings and first aid camps. So let's have a conversation with them to have mental health camps, mental health first aid camps and screening camps side by side to bring awareness and also to fight stigma and also to normalize. Because mental illness is nothing but physical illness, right? Any other illness, change of chemicals or because of an injury, things like that. So that is where we need to normalize mental illness. So we need to do this, bringing presentations, bringing camps to all these organizations. I'm actually very thankful for one of the organizations for giving me an opportunity to table and also give a presentation on mental health. And it became such a big opportunity for me to present about NAMI, New Jersey, and Samaj, and also for individuals who were actually keeping everything under the rug, coming and talking to me one-on-one and getting much needed support. And it's a step towards normalizing, right? So I'm very thankful for this organization for giving me that opportunity. So I am hoping we will do more and more like that. Even yesterday, we actually had a tabling at East Brunswick Library, and there were two people coming from one of the talks that we gave. They're like, oh my God, we saw that NAMI, New Jersey is going to be here. So we are coming to meet up. So I'm thankful for having this light on mental health So let's do it together. And as Melanie's mentioned, word of mouth is very important. Generally in South Asian community, like many other communities, we talk to friends and family to even get referral for not even mental health providers. I'm talking about even for a handyman. So think about it. When we are doing that, why are we not talking openly about our mental health situation or whatever we are going through? It can be a stress. It can be something else. Or we don't know what is going on and would like to know what it is. Is it a phase that our young adult is going through, or is it a warning sign? So let's educate ourselves and find providers to get help. But I am really thankful that we have an opportunity to express our thoughts and experiences here, and also things are changing. I'm grateful for that too. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Suba. We are I love what you're saying about chosen families, because especially it's true as immigrants right here, to share the journey, and also fight stigma together, and to normalize. And that's what we are doing here as well. We have panelists from all culture backgrounds, and as much as possible, we want to normalize this. It is not acceptable for someone to suffer in silence. In our view, you are not alone, and we wanted people to get help. And so if we can come to question and answer session, we actually have a question from the floor. Let me read it. I would love to get panelists' view on how family and friends can support those who are suffering. Many of us would benefit from their views and insights. So I would love some panelists to take this on, if we have takers.
If you want, I can start.
Yes, thank you.
In the case of my own family, I remember, for example, my youngest sibling is a daughter, and she also suffered from mental illness. She's living with schizophrenia, and when she went into a hospitalization and came out, the whole family was there to welcome her and bring her back home. And I remember I asked her, what did she want to do that day, a special treat. And she said, I want to go and have ice cream. And I remember I took her in my car and we went for the ice cream. And as we were walking into the ice cream parlor, people were noticing the effects of the medication on her. She looked stiff, all the things that typically happen when you're taking these very powerful drugs. And she looked at me, we sat down and she looked at me and she said, I guess I have to live with these stares for the rest of my days. And I felt a tremendous sense of pain, because it's my baby sister who's going through this. And I took a moment to breathe, and I said to her, well, what they see is the fact that you have these symptoms, but what they don't see is that to me, you're a superhero. So like the superhero, Superman, he hides behind a certain costume, and same with Spider-Man. And your costume looks like these symptoms, physical visible symptoms, but you're really a superhero to me. And you have to, the next time this happens to you, you need to say, yeah, I'm taking medication, and I'm also an artist. I write, I teach. You add all the other things you are. I think that is what I felt it was my role to support her, to help her see that she's not mental illness, that she's a human being living with mental illness. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that really touches on the stigma part as well, and seeing the value of the whole person. Anyone else would like to share? Yes, Supa.
Yeah. When it comes to family and friends, for some of us immigrants, the family, like a blood family, is away from us, miles and miles away, and they may not understand what we are going through and our situation. So that is where we made up our own chosen family, which helped. And we like to be very open with our situation, with our close friends and family. And we are, when a situation comes where people are looking at my son, as Dr. Maria said, they are our superheroes, right? I actually go talk to the individuals directly. I ask them, so what are you finding here? Because my son likes to wear headphones because he has sensory challenges also with the sounds and all when we are at a gathering or visiting a religious place or things like that. He wears headphones and he walks around. And I did have people asking me, why is he wearing headphones and listening to music? I'm like, thank you for asking. He has sensory issues. So he is walking around. He's not disturbing anybody. He's not stopping anyone. He's minding his own business and he is walking away from everyone. Then what is bothering you? And instead of you focusing on what you are supposed to, you are actually disturbing everybody by making these comments and all. So I do go talk to individuals and try to take that opportunity to educate them. If somebody who is 5'7" walking around at this place with headphones, there is something behind it. So just focus yourself on what is important for you right now. So that's how I work with them. But when it comes to family and friends, for us, open conversations helped us keep our friendships and make it stronger and stronger all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Supa. Thank you so much. And, that's truly the value of being educated ourselves first and then doing our part to educate others, to really decrease the stigma and ignorance around this issue. And again, all we do here is trying to make it a better world for those who suffer. So thank you.
Maggie, can I add something as well
Yes,
regarding the
please.
question? So the building your circle, as Shubha said, and other panelists have said as well, is critical when you go through a crisis like this, right? And I have gone through myself with my anxiety attacks and not able to breathe certain days and not able to think. And having a circle that you trust, whether that circle is of 4 people or 40 people, that's pointless. But having that circle that you can depend on and speak openly about your issues that you're going through, it's a tremendous help. Today, I sit here with this panel and I talk about mental health. It's because of that, right? Where I did lose it, so to speak, right, and able to get back on the horse. And Brain is a very close friend of mine, and he has gone through what he has seen what my family has gone through with dementia. I lost my dad to dementia, and what it did to our family overall, in terms of literally breaking it apart, right, both financially and mentally. And then having the one thing, Subha, you mentioned something where we didn't focus on ourselves. We focused on the situation that we're dealing with, right? And we kind of missed that boat. But that those issues catch up with you, not today, but they will catch up with you tomorrow, right? And I think that's what I went through. All these issues over the last 15 years caught up, and I was stuck in a position that broke me. There's no other way of saying it, right? That literally broke me. And having a circle that you build on and having these resources, I was able to talk to Samaj and I was able to get help. And I did speak with a counselor through Samaj who understood our Indian culture, so to speak, right? And Indian values, but because I can relate to her very well and she can relate back to me. And it was very helpful, right? So reach out. Reach out. The message is reach out. Reach out. Build your trust. Build your circle. Whatever that circle is, build it, right? And rely on this circle, and then have these numbers that are on the screen. Thank you for sharing this again, right? And call these entities. Get on these sites. Get help, and don't be shy. Fight that stigma that comes behind it. Fight it, and fight it, and get the help that you need. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rohit. That was the energy that you has brought us here all today, and thank you so much for your invitation for us to be here. And like you said, we also need to thank you for mentioning that actually that we also need to be mindful of other dimensions of wellness, right? There is if you look it up, it's the 8 dimensions of wellness by SAMHSA. It is actually based on research by our New Jersey-based researchers and peer advocate, Dr. Peggy Swarbrick. And part of this is health, wellness, mental health, financial, housing, social, environmental, all those dimensions. If we as family and friends surrounding and loving this individual, we empower them to see the other dimensions and be able to be the scaffolds. We can't, to Ben's point, we cannot force someone into recovery. That recovery doesn't happen that way. So I truly appreciate what the conversation and dialogue that we are having today, because if one person hears it and give them hope and the next step, that's truly what we are aiming for today. So we thank you so much for, I thank the panelists for their valuable contribution to this dialogue. And thank you, the Lions Club, Rohit and Rupen, and
Maggie?
and Baron. Yes.
We have a
Mildred,
question.
yeah, Mildred says she wants to participate.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Okay. Sabrina, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. The reason why your child is wearing the music, it's because it's very soothing for him. It's comforting. I am a dementia practitioner. I'm also a recreation therapist. So I work with a lot of clients that have mental illness. And it's the empathy and the understanding that we have within us that a person who has mental illness, they can kind of zoom in on us, and they feel that we have that understanding and that empathy for them. So it makes it easier for them to communicate with us, to reach out for help, because I've had many of clients come to me and tell me that they're very comfortable speaking with me. So during our conversations, if there's something that's detrimental that I feel as though is harmful to them, I will suggest to them, well, look, how about if we go speak with the social worker and see what we could do about this to get some help? But I'll stay with you. So as long as I'm staying with them, that they're comfortable, they will go speak with the social worker so we can reach out to get some help for them. But yes, I just wanted to say that to you, that music is very soothing for people who have mental illness, because it kind of zones them out of their negative ways that they're thinking at that moment. And it's bringing.
I do have one, I want to add one point to that.
Yes.
There was I was part of a year-long consulting assignment, which I did for an autistic, group that does housing for those individuals. And one thing I did learn is that music therapy, it engages every part of your brain. So if a person is listening to music that they liked, they can recall everything from that time frame, and it brings back a piece of memory, and it helps that patient with their disorder that they have, which is Alzheimer's. So what they lose is their short-term memory first before they lose their long-term memory. And what it does is it brings back those memories. They remember everything from that experience. So that is very essential. I'm glad you brought that up. Another two items that I think are critical are swimming and horseback riding.
Yes.
The organization that I am a board of director for, because I've been challenged with I've had neurological challenges myself. So what I've done is I've taken my experiences and I've used that so I can actually help others that have that same sort of issues, neurological challenges and similar. So I think it's important if you have a certain disorder or disease or whatever, that if you're able to help others in that space so that they can get better and hopefully they can pay that forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your sharing. Suba, would you like to respond?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you to both of you for sharing. In my son's case, he has sensory challenges, so he cannot take too much sound. So he wears headphones. These are noise canceling headphones. So, and at the same time, he loves music, listening to music. So all our drives, sometimes I have to drive 3 hours so that he can finish his album. So, and we are okay with it. That's the only time me and my husband will get to talk. So, and these are certain things. Yes, Rupen, as you said, the swimming is one of the great things that suits somebody, not just mental illness, even physical illness, some of the physical illnesses, and also those who are on the spectrum, who doesn't have the challenges with the wetness. It is a very soothing activity. So my son is actually part of Special Olympics. He does swimming and he can do horse riding. I feel bad for that, but that's not good for him. So we don't do that. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I love this dialogue and conversations. Since Supa mentioned about developmental disabilities, it does have overlap with mental illness, but we would like to, for people to seek professional help to tease things out, especially when the child grows into young adulthood, and it would be easier to seek help from two pools of providers. Yeah. Okay, so any other sharings from the floor or from other panelists before we close this webinar?
Oh, yes, if I can say one last thing.
Yes, Ben.
I just want to say there's a saying I heard that you can go faster alone, but you can go farther with someone else. And I think just demonstrates the power of empathy. Thank you.
Oh, that's so precious. Love that, Ben. Ben always is our philosophical closer, and we love that. And with that mindset of togetherness and empathy, we would like to thank everyone who's on this call contributing to this dialogue, and we make a difference today. And hopefully, those who are listening today or in the future on our YouTube channel will be able to know that you are not alone and be able to spread this hope and awareness. Thank you so much for joining, and we conclude this webinar here.